Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Samaya and I had two different video ideas. So I put out both options on my Instagram and I had a vote, and so the one that won is the one I'm doing now. So we're going to talk about how I had social anxiety and I am now a public speaker, which is very strange. So I'm gonna dive into how I kind of went through like my journey basically, because it wasn't an easy one and it was filled with a lot of self-doubt and discomfort and just basically me thinking I'm not good enough, you know, when I meet people and that sort of thing. So I'm going to talk about that right now. So the definition of social anxiety is the fear of social situations that involve interactions with other people. You could also say social anxiety is the fear and anxiety of being negatively judged and evaluated by other people. And of course there are different levels, and I've never seen anyone for it or anything, because, you know, within the Somali culture, it's very, like, any kind of mental issue is very, like, it's either not known about or not taken seriously. It's just, oh, you're just doing that to yourself, or you're just, you know, pretending, or that sort of thing. Any kind of mental health is not talked about within our culture at all. So for me, it started, I think, when I came to Australia, because I remember being shy when I went to school in Kenya, but I never felt less than the other students. But because when I came to Australia and I started school here, I was bullied for basically being different and not having what all the other girls had. And that kind of like gave me this mindset of, like, you know, I'm inferior than everyone else. And so instead of me just being shy, where, you know, I'm shy at first and then I open up, I was very, like, reluctant to be in social situations, and I would refuse to open up no matter how long I was there. And so during school, when the first time we had to do an oral presentation was when I was in grade 6, we had to go through an article, pick any article in the newspaper and basically summarize what it was about. And I used to get beyond nervous. It wasn't that I was nervous about whether I was doing it right or wrong, because I didn't even think about what I was reading. I didn't even think about the article or whether I was doing it correctly or whether I summarized it correctly, or it wasn't any of that. It was more, I see everyone looking at me and what are they thinking about me? Like, what kinds of things are they thinking about me? And it was just a fear of that they were judging me. And because even though, like, I was in that setting and I was being bullied then as well, it kind of just made things worse. And so whenever we had these, we had to do them like every Monday. And I tried faking being sick. I tried faking the sickie when, you know, Sunday night came, and, you know, I wasn't a good actor. You know, my parents saw right through me. They knew that I wasn't sick. So I would be put on the bus and I have to go to school. And then I would have to go through that. And every Monday it didn't get any better. It wasn't like, oh, you know, if you keep doing it, it gets better in the end. It wasn't like that at all. It was every Sunday night I would feel the same anxiety, the same fear, and I would rarely sleep. If I slept, I would maybe sleep a few hours. And it wasn't something that I told anyone about because, you know, it's just, oh, you know, she's probably shy, it'll get better in the end. And, you know, I knew that was what was going to be said. So I just didn't bother telling anyone. So I just kept it to myself, and then every Monday after the presentation, because we did it first thing in the morning, so after that I would feel, oh yeah, that wasn't so bad. But then the next week it was the exact same thing. It was the same anxiety, and you know, it never changed. We did that for like, I think 6 months or something. It never changed. When it was over, I was so happy, you don't even know. So after grade 6, when I went into high school, I remember my orientation day. I was, like, my whole family was going to see a movie, but I had to go to orientation. And I was so angry and upset, and it wasn't because, oh, I'm gonna miss the movie, because, you know, I was gonna see the movie the very next day. It wasn't the issue. It was just, I had to go into a situation where I didn't know anyone, and I had to make friends. Otherwise, my whole high school life would be bad, and my brothers just enjoyed the day, basically. And so I wasn't happy about it, and when I got to school and I made my very first friend, she was so lovely. She knew, everyone knew people from primary school, because they all went to schools around the area, and I went to school like in the middle of nowhere. And so she said, I have some friends in other classes, do you want to come eat lunch with us? And I did. And even though that they were being very nice and no one said anything bad, no one even looked at me different, and it was different kinds of people, like from different nationalities. So it wasn't like I was the only different one, but every time I talked to someone, or I spoke to one of them, or we were talking about whatever, I was always measuring my words carefully, because what if I say something and then they judge me for it? And I was in that fear for a few months until I warmed up to them and I saw that, you know, they didn't really care about anything, you know? It was like they weren't judging me. I was just like, they had their own issues, they were doing their own thing, so I was just, you know, oh my god, they're thinking about me, they're talking about me. It's like, you're not that important, calm down. So after that, we had oral presentations, and even though they kind of got easier because I had friends in my class, whereas my previous one I didn't really, it was better because at the end of it, you know, they would comfort me and they'd be like, you know, you did really well and that sort of thing. And so I was very happy about that. But it didn't make it any easier, and there weren't any set times for it, so it wasn't something that we did once a week. It was like depending on the assignment, basically. Group assignments I didn't mind because I wasn't the only one up there, so the attention wasn't only on me. But solo presentations were tough. So things got better in high school. I didn't venture out of my group because once I made friends, I'm not gonna, you know, go make friends again. Like, why do I need to do that? But when I finished and I went to uni, it was the same thing. I had to, and I'm like 23 at this point or something. I did like different courses and, you know, but like when I went to uni to study animation, I was 23 at the time. And it was the same. It wasn't even, oh, okay, you know, I'm more confident now and I can go out and make friends. No, it wasn't like that at all. It was still, I kept to myself. I didn't really participate in class discussions because there's no way I'm going to raise my hand and say an idea, even though I would hear someone else say the exact same idea and the teacher would praise them for it. And then I'd be thinking, damn, why didn't I say that idea? Because I had it. So it wasn't that because I'm older, it's easier. It wasn't easy at all. It was still really hard. But making friends, I didn't approach anyone. I made like one friend. No, a few friends, like 4 or 5 friends, but they all approached me and I was so happy about that because I wasn't really confident enough to approach anyone. So when it comes to friends, you know, it was fine. And we didn't really do anything more than, you know, because during lunch we were allowed to stay in the classrooms and we would just eat and watch YouTube videos or movies on the computers, so it was fine. But I thought I was getting better with presentations and things were going well, and then there was this one time when I did a presentation. I spoke more in detail about it in my previous, in another video, which I will link down below, where I was presenting my animation or concept, and the teacher basically didn't like what I presented, and he basically went on to say things that, you know, I was incompetent and things like that. Just a lot of, you know, hurtful things that wasn't constructive in any way. And normally, like, that would already be, you know, too much. But the night before we were mourning a loss of a family friend, and I only came to school because it was a group presentation and but you present yourself, you present your portion that you did yourself. And so when I did that and he said those things, it kind of set me back a lot in terms of confidence. And I was so glad that, you know, that it was my final year and I wasn't going to be going through that again. So when I finished, I was like, oh wow. I was happy that it was done. But the thing is, when I graduated, I didn't really know what to do. I was doing some freelance work, and I knew that I wanted to work for myself, but I didn't know at what capacity. So I was doing some freelance work, and also I was working with my mom. She's a speaker, so I was her photographer and I handled her social media. And so I was just kind of doing those little bits and pieces. And every time we went to an event, I was just hoping to blend into the crowd. No one sees me, let me just take my photos and go, you know? But there was a lot of, you know, because people know that that's your mum, because I literally look so much like mum. And so they're gonna see that, you know, they'll be like, oh, so, you know, oh, your mum's amazing, and what's your story? They basically ask you, you know, what was your perspective when she was, because she talks about her experience as a refugee and integrating within the Australian community. And then I would be asked what was my perspective while she was going through that, you know, how did I see it as a kid? And so I was thrown into a lot of awkward situations and I had to tell my story. And the more and more events I went with her, and because she would throw me in the deep end, she'd be like, yeah, this is my daughter, and then walk away. And I'd be like, don't leave me, like, why are you leaving me? I can't talk to this person by myself, what is this? And she did that a lot, so yeah. It was really hard at first, telling my story, and just basically just talking to people that I didn't really know. But I saw with each time that no one was judging me, no one cared, you know? They were just listening to my perspective, but it's not like they were thinking, oh, you know, look at her or whatever. Like, they weren't thinking anything negatively about me, but I saw it as that, and I would always feel like I'm less than. So that feeling faded in time, and when I got the suggestion that I should also speak to high school students and primary school students about my experience about being bullied, and I didn't really think anything of it at first, but I think my first engagement, I actually went up and I found it really easy. Like, I thought the oral presentation was like, it was going to be like the oral presentations, but it wasn't. It was so much easier because there was no right or wrong. This was my story, and that helped. And even though the first group was, it was the same as like a classroom. It was like classroom size, so it was really good. And then I was asked to speak at a school to 500 girls from grades 6 to 12, I think. And when I saw that group, I was like, what? But even though there was a lot of people, I thought I was going to be nervous, but I wasn't. And I mean, I'll put a picture here to show you how many people there were, but I wasn't nervous. And that was what was the weirdest thing for me, because I always thought, you know, I'm basically going to be a wreck. And so now, obviously, I'm not at where I want to be. Like, it's still slow. With each speaking engagement, I feel more and more comfortable. I'm comfortable on stage. It's the one-on-one that, you know, really bothers me. And I am slowly but surely getting better at that. I want to get to a point where I go to like an event or a social gathering or a networking event where I won't need anyone else to come with. Because now I'm like, there's no way I'm going alone. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, because many times Mom's like, oh, there's this really good networking event that I think you should go to. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going alone. Like, I'll ask my friends if they want to come, and if they're busy, like, I'm not going to that by myself. No way. I am not that confident yet. And I will get there in time. But at the moment, I look back on, you know, how far I've come, and I'm really impressed and proud of myself, because it's not an easy thing. I always used to see my older brother, who's very outgoing and, you know, can talk to people easily. And I always kind of, you know, felt jealous, like, why can't I do that? But slowly by slowly, I will get there. And when I do, then I'll be like, well, I was here and now I'm here, you know? So that's just my story about me being a social mess. Just an anxious mess when it comes to social situations. I may not show it in the face, but trust me, there's like 1,000,001 questions going on in my head that I need to kind of quieten down. And sometimes it's like so bad that I'm like thinking about all these things and I won't hear what the person is saying. And then that makes it look worse, because it looks like I wasn't listening. It's like I'm trying, but I've got something going on in my head. So obviously now when I'm talking about this, I'm not saying this is the only way you're gonna cure social anxiety. No, I'm not trying to, you know, cure people or saying I'm an expert. I'm just saying this was my experience and what I went through, and it could be different for anyone, because some people may have it more severe than others. You know, some people might need therapy for it, and whether or not I was at that point, I don't know, because like I said, in our culture, we don't take these things seriously, and and first of all, going to a therapist as a Somali, that's not happening. Like, people are gonna think straight up, you're crazy. You're basically insane. You should be locked up in an asylum, because just the mention, there's like something inside saying that, oh, therapy is only for like crazy people. Like, that's it. Like, why would you talk to a stranger if you're not crazy, you know? So therapy was out of the question. But I had to find my own way, and I'm still finding my way. And, you know, it helps, I guess, the support that I have. And even though a lot of the time mum will drag me somewhere and be like, meet my daughter, and then walk away, where I'll be like burning her with my eyes, like, how could you do that? It helps in the end, I guess. So my advice is, start small. Don't like throw yourself into anything crazy. And I guess just see how you go from there. But other than that, I mean, everyone's journey is different, and this was just my journey, and it's still continuing, and we will see where I get in a few years' time, because this wasn't something that, you know, happened overnight. This was something that took basically since I was 7, and I'm 27 now. So it was 20 years in the making, and it only started a few years ago, maybe like 2000 and end of 2015, 2016, something like that. So it's only been like 2 years, nearly 3 years. So it's definitely a journey. I could get to where I want to be maybe when I'm like 40 or 50, who knows? But at the moment, I'm going to enjoy the journey, and I will put myself in awkward situations, uncomfortable situations, not purposely awkward situations, but they say, you know, success comes from discomfort, so let's hope that is true. And yeah, so if you like this, and I know I haven't been uploading very consistently, I will try, because I have a list now, and if you have a list of videos that you want to see, I'm more than happy to add it to the list, because then I look at the list and then I know what I'm, you know, filming, because I don't plan these things ahead. I'm just like, oh, what do I film? I have nothing to film, and then I'm basically lost until I find what to film. So if you like this, please like and subscribe, join the fam, and I will talk to you later. Also, I am planning on doing a Q&A, and if you want to ask a question, either send something to my Instagram or write a comment down below with Q&A and then the question, and then I will put that also on my list of Q&A, you know, because I have a Q&A folder, and you know, all the questions go in there. So, and then I will do a Q&A when I have enough. I don't know how much is enough, because I don't know how long the video is supposed to be, and I don't want to make it too long, but I don't want to make it like crazy short either. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, love yourselves, self-care, treat yourself. Don't treat yourself with bad food. I do that, and I'm at where I am now. I'm like literally just seeing the number climb. But I will see you guys next time.